When you light a match, two different reactions are occurring. Let's take a closer look at how wood burns. If we were to zoom into the wood on the match, we would see that it's made up of dried cells from when the tree was alive. Contained in these cells are chemicals called hydrocarbons, long chains comprised mostly of carbon and hydrogen with a couple of other elements thrown in. When the wood is heated, these bonds between the carbon break between some of the atoms, making much shorter hydrocarbons. These smaller molecules tend to become gases and leave the cells. All of these gases together are referred to as wood gas. This is why the match flares at the beginning. It supplies the heat to start the breaking of these bonds. This reaction is called pyrolysis, the heating of an organic material without oxygen. Pyrolysis is the first step to the familiar glow as a wooden match is lit. So now that we have these short chain molecules that are moving around because they're a gas, if they move into a region that has a lot of oxygen, new chemical reaction occurs. Oxygen is a very reactive gas, and when it starts to move in, it can start breaking the bonds of, in this case, the hydrogen from the carbon in order to form new molecules and then move away. These new molecules are water, H2O. And so as oxygen attacks the hydrogen, it can create water. But then the oxygen can also start reacting with the carbon itself and form this 2 oxygen, 1 carbon molecule known as CO2, or carbon dioxide. As long as there's enough oxygen, all the carbon gets consumed. But if there's not enough oxygen, you have this leftover carbon compounds waiting to be burned. Burning is known as combustion, and that is the reaction of a fuel, in my example here that's hydrocarbons, in the presence of oxygen. This is what most people think of as burning. So now we can put what we've learned all together when we start looking at the way in which a match burns. We've seen that the wood of the match is made up of these cells, and through a process, all of the gases are driven off of these cells. The black part of the match is all the remaining carbon left over after all the gases have been driven away. This carbon here is known as char, and actually is something that we're looking for in a bunch of laboratories. And when you watch something burn, you actually are watching first pyrolysis, or wood gas, being generated as the wood heats up and releases its gases. And then oxygen comes in, starts mixing with these wood gases, and you get a second reaction known as combustion. And combustion is the combination of the oxygen in order to form carbon dioxide and a little water. What's interesting is all of these gases are very hot, which is the reason why flames move up away from the fuel. And you can see this in matches and forest fires.